GM friends, hello, welcome to From A to Z, an Aavegotchi Podcast. I'm Z-Fi. This is...
And I'm Zombie Shepherd.
What's new? What's going on?
Working on music. I've been super busy in the studio. I'm getting ready for that 402 stream tomorrow. So
that sounds like fun. I'm looking forward to that one. I've been always busy, but I've been kind of relieved. Got a couple of big funding proposals done for Bankless DAO yesterday. A few things off my plate, so that's kind of nice. Got my house cleaned yesterday. Was collecting some art. I finally dipped into some Baskeck. I got a couple of Baskeck pieces. There was a
nice
good deal and a cool post. There was a fake common that minted yesterday, and then a couple of ETH mainnet pieces as well. So that's kind of fun. Spreading the ETH around a little bit. I maybe shouldn't be, but it's fun to do bad things.
I feel you. I've been spending a little bit of ETH myself, layer 1 ETH as well. So
indeed.
I mean, like from Zombie Time last week, I had that Domino burn token that I picked up. Well, the burn already happened. So like,
did you burn yours?
I burned.
What'd you get?
So with the first song, I bought 2 and only burned 1 and got back a mysterious box. And for this one, there was a marble box. And these boxes are going to be utility at the end of the year.
Interesting.
So I think this next one, so the first one is supposed to be about some live performances, live stream performances that are going to be exclusive. And then the latest one is for like a new future album after the trilogy that he's currently working on.
Planning ahead. I like that. Sounds like you're investing in an artist with some momentum, and that's cool. Cool to see.
Yeah, a little bit.
Quick update for the From A to Z side for the show. I'm not going to tell everything real quick, but we'll tease it a little bit. We've got that Genesis token we've got.
I've heard about it.
I know, right? Seems like a few people have, maybe not enough people. But we've got a raffle next week. So if you're one of the lucky few, you are holding a ticket to the raffle. That Genesis token is what we'll use for the drawing. And gosh, we've got some cool stuff up for raffle, but we'll get into that later.
Right.
Got to keep you cliff hanging, right? I'll jump right into Aavegotchi ecosystem updates, though. If you're ready to rock.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I thought I'd put a new piece in here this week, a new little segment, just some information on ecosystem asset prices. We'll do a quick check just to get a pulse on the markets and see where things are at. I chose
price check.
Just a price check. You're right about that. I chose a couple of assets in addition to Alchemica. So I got Ghost
price
Matic.
Check on ILZ.
Yes. One price check. We got Ghost Matic, the Gotchi floor, the Parcel floor, and then our Alchemica assets. So we've got Ghost at $1.02. Matic is right even at $1. The Gotchi floor is only at 287 Ghost. The Parcel floor, 26.9 Ghost. And that's for a humble parcel. But those would be the cheapest way to get in, the Gotchi and the Parcel costs there. And then for the Alchemica, it's going crazy with the competition live, but we've got FUD at 0.0015, FOMO at 0.0181, which has outpaced KEK now, Alpha at 0.0063, and KEK at 0.0163. Those numbers are going crazy this week, and I don't expect it to stop for another few weeks while we have that Alchemica spending competition live.
So a little bit of pump in there, huh?
A little bit of pump. Yeah, if you're getting in, be careful. Volatile markets for sure.
Pam.
But if you're getting in to spend it, and you can make it into that leaderboard, you might get a little bit of a refund. So you got to weigh your costs and weigh your options. But the opportunity for a little bit of reward is there as well. I can jump right into that leaderboard too. Let me get that up. Share this screen here. So we got round 1 scores already closed. Round 2 started yesterday. Round 2 is not as exciting as round 1, it looks like, according to these multipliers. We've got 1x on every day. Last week we had like a 1.6 scaling down to 1x, but this week's a little different. So given these numbers, my guess is I'm going to see a climb in Alchemica prices over the first few days of the week. People are going to be stacking, people are going to be accumulating, but not exactly building. And then it'll just be like a FOMO race at the end of the week. So I think if you're planning on going in this week, watch for the late week entries because it's going to stack fast, I think. There's no incentive to go early. You're only tipping your hand. So the longer you wait, the more advantage I think you'll have.
Can we see the least amount being spent to get on the leaderboard? What is
Yeah, let me see.
There's a question from the audience there.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Good call. Looks like 22,000 FUD equivalent is the number to beat to get 50 Ghost.
There you go.
But it's also Tuesday, so we've got plenty of time for that to change quite a bit.
So do these leaderboards actually restart every week, or does it keep like a...
It's a reset, and they've got different tabs here. So you can actually select which round. You can see, obviously, no activity in round 3, but you can see exactly who did what in which round.
Gotcha.
So for just round 2, this is where we're at. And we've already got a top spot of a 4 million FUD equivalent spend on Tuesday.
Wow.
So folks are building. And it's great to see. Minimum spot for round 1.
Yeah.
Let's see. Top spot was a 6.2 million FUD spend. And the bottom number, here we go. The lowest FUD spend to count was 166,500 FUD. Still quite a bit.
Wow. Those are big numbers, sir.
It's good to see, though. I mean, I think there's a lot of hubbub going around. There's a lot of hustle and bustle. But I think once this Alchemica competition subsides a little bit, we're going to see a lot of development has happened over the last 4 weeks. It has to be. People aren't just accumulating assets in wallets to not install them.
Well, just in time for those rerolls, too. So, I mean, if this was on a fresh parcel that you maybe hadn't surveyed, or you surveyed it but hadn't built out, like now you're going to get a second roll on top of that, another 8-9%. So this is a good time to have like gotten a rebate to build out your parcel to turn around and drain it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're just looking for good advantages, good cost advantages to get in, this is one of them for sure.
Yep.
So that's what we've got for the Alchemica spending competition this week.
Set them up and knock them down, and it's a little too clean. It's a good strike there.
It is. All right. Well, let me pop this one off here. Next announcement in the Aavegotchi ecosystem updates is just a reminder on the Gotchi Gang census. I have the tweet up here. I'll switch that tab.
I am a bad citizen. I still have not done the census. I've opened it twice, and then it got lost in my jumble of tabs.
It happens. It's the internet, man. It's just everything's moving too fast.
Oh, man.
But there's still time. Good news is there's still time. So January 31st is the deadline for entering for a chance to win one of the wearables that are up for raffle. And I looked into the details of this, as I said that I would last week. And the wearables that are on the block for a raffle are 3 commons, 3 uncommons, 3 rares, and a legendary. So the specific wearables were not mentioned, but that was the list that was announced in the Aavegotchi official Discord. So that is what we're drawing for. If you haven't filled out that census, the link is right there. The type form's right in the tweet. It does ask some pretty personal questions. So if you're like super anon and not comfortable with stuff, heads up, there's some questions in there. But I answered them all. Like I said, I'm practically already doxed, and I think the helpfulness of this information, the value of these answers to Pixelcraft is going to be big. So the more helpful that we can be, I think the better off they'll be able to design their their plans and their releases around us. So if you haven't checked out the census, go check that one out. Got a chance for some freebies too.
Very cool. Yeah, like I said, I still haven't had a chance to do it. I'm slacking big time.
That's all right. Like there's time. You got a week still. Close, but we have 1 week. You want to check out some fakes?
Oh,
I have not had a fake news. We got some fake news for you. It's fake. I don't have this tab open. We're gonna get some fakes up here.
I've been in there.
I have not cruised the queue.
I've not been through the queue. I've been in there in the auctions, going hard.
A lot of new ones in here. Nadio's got a couple more. Oh, a bunch more. All the colors.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they cleaned up. Nice.
Gotchis with noses.
Gotchi bowls with another piece.
Are these noses? Or
yeah, this is the Nadiel. He's got like a pre-work of his has this kind of shape. I don't remember where I saw it today. I think it was a photograph of the drippy Nadiel that was drying. I think it was on a workbench, and in the background on the wall were these art pieces that were like shaped like this. So I think he's doing a crossover, his type of style and the Aavegotchi style. It's interesting. Looks like there's one for each rarity tier.
Yeah, Aavegotchi. And then they're kind of Picasso-esque with like the features kind of, because it's got the collateral way over here and then the eye is kind of not on the face. I'm assuming it's kind of a turned. My door's slamming around over there. I'm assuming it's kind of like a turned angle, but like the collateral is like, if that's the case, then the collateral's on the side of the head.
Abstract. I'm sure it's intentional because those aren't even collaterals. Those are just like gem shapes.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Interesting.
Definitely unique.
I like this little liquor though. This is killer.
The Gotchi bowl one, yeah, right.
I like this with the brain. It's kind of like very Krang-like with the brain hanging out there.
Nice. New lag and drop here. The Raffle Whiz. More White Ranger. Oh, this one's.
You know what's funny is
cool
I'm looking at it on my screen now, but when you scrolled by it the first time, I was like, "Oh, is that another Geob piece?" Like just real quick, seeing it glance by. About to say, I was like, "Are you there? Are you muted, Z5?"
Oh crap! I'm muted. Thank you. How long have I been muted for? Like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah. Well, since I said, I don't know if you were talking before this, but when I said that piece looked like Geob, there was like stunned silence. I was like, "Oh crap! Did I?"
Oh yeah, I was talking the whole time. Yeah, no, I didn't notice that, but it is a lagging piece. Where'd it go? Here we go. Yeah, I guess you got the focus on the eyeballs, the focus on the shape overall. I could see the similarity.
Yeah, it just had that same kind of like feel to me, the Family Guy-ish kind of feel that other piece had. Are you frozen? Or
no, I'm here.
Oh, you're on that page.
I was just mesmerized by the spinning. I was just watching it spin and spin and spin. Oh, I'm not
sure.
Hey, here we go.
Yeah,
I'm on this
seeing.
Page.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, spin. But while I was muted, what I was trying to pull up was Thrax's new piece here. You can still hear me, right?
Yes, I like
Okay,
it.
good.
I like the Matrix vibe. It's got the hallway and everything. It's like the
So here, let me get my my audio, the tab audio on. It has sound with it, and it's a landscape one. Now I should have audio. There's just a short
holy
loop,
crap.
like banger on it.
It's banging. Hell yeah.
Next, I like it. And since I was curious, I looked up this. This spells new binary.
Oh, so
This
it's
is
like
NEO.
Oh, on that part, yeah. I think you were talking about in the video.
Oh no, I didn't count all that.
So
No
yeah,
way.
totally a Matrix
Just
homage
here.
there.
Yeah, so kind of cool. I liked it.
I like it.
Back to the gallery here. Yep. All right, and we've got a yo-yo piece, new White Ranger, a Sonic. It's a Gotchi crossover.
Yeah,
I
they
like
were
this
talking
Sonic
about
Gotchi.
this one on the community call and on Block Party last week about how this would be a cool game.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is a
Yeah.
cool game? It's Sonic the Hedgehog. It would be. I mean, I've said this for a long time, so I guess I might as well just say it again. But like, I would love to see like old school games emulated with Gotchi assets. You know, like I don't know if
Ooh.
it's as easy as like doing, you know, I know like for a lot of those games, like Doom, for instance, there were skin mods where you just replace things, but that wouldn't be the same as like having them function as blockchain assets.
Yeah.
But I think that would be awesome. Like I would love to see like, you know, a Link to the Past from Super Nintendo redone as Aavegotchi. And
I'd lose a lot of hours of productivity. I'd play that game. I would play that game. That the Game Boy, what was it? The Jurassic Park Game Boy game? Lost a lot of hours in that game too. Make that a Gotchi version. I'll play the crap out of it.
Right? I mean, these assets are just like ripe to throw in some old school Nintendo and Sega games and just boom.
I suppose if we're past that statute of limitations or whatever it is where the copyright expires and you can actually do whatever you want with the IP, then there's opportunity there. I don't know if like Super Mario Brothers is still protected, for example. Like, could you just clone Super Mario?
Well, Super Mario,
Gotchi in it?
Sonic, and stuff like that, you're definitely going to have issues with. I mean, even Doom, anything, you know, like anything that they're still like actively using the IP for. But, I mean, that's kind of the whole emulation game is kind of like pirate. You know what I mean? They don't want you doing any of that crap.
No.
They're like, no, you come buy it through the Nintendo store. We'll give you that same game you've already bought from us 6 times. We'll sell it to you again.
We'll sell it again, yeah. I
We
just
have
saw
no
a comment
problem.
in chat here. Conker's Bad Fur Day in the Gotchiverse. Did you ever play Conker's Bad Fur Day?
I definitely have played it. It was not one of my like games.
Oh, it was one of mine. N64.
Totally.
Horrible game. Horrible game. The story is just repulsive. A lot of fun. A lot of fun and lots of multiplayer game options.
I played a lot of GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. I actually have a working Nintendo 64 that I play from time to time.
They are fun.
The last game I beat on there, like played and like focused and was like, I'm gonna do this, was Perfect Dark.
That was a great game. I would say that's the best game for N64.
Funny part is, I never played it as a kid. Like it was one of those games that I didn't have, like, or whatever. But like, my friend that I worked with before, you know, he had the game, but he didn't have the Nintendo 64 with the special thing. And I'm like, well, I got the thing. Let me borrow the game. And so I was like, yeah, So that's
You had to
so
have
I
that
beat
4
Perfect
meg
Dark probably
expansion
about a
pack.
year ago.
Oh, it's a good one though. It's a good one. I'm glad you got to experience it. I went hard on that.
I can't beat the bonus levels. Like, there's like this bonus
It was a
level
hard
where
game.
you have to be like the bad guy, Mr. Trevor or whatever. Like, you have to be that guy, and then you have to like run through one of the early stages, but you have to not be seen. And there's like 500 women agents all over the place. It's a crazy bonus stage. Can't beat it.
It was a hard game. It was a good game though. Lots of options. Very robust. No wonder it needed that 4 megabyte expansion pack.
A whole 4.
The turbo pack or whatever they called it. Shoot.
When am I going to be able to plug my Aavegotchis into my Nintendo 64?
When Gotchi cartridges. Wait a minute, that was an actual thing for a minute.
Oh no! Oh no!
So that being said, I have no news on actual Gotchi cartridges. just want some old N64 ones.
No news on cartridges or liquidators. Great Battle TBD.
Coming soon though. Great Battle coming soon though.
Yes.
Q2, early Q2. So we got to get ready. We got to be ready. I don't know what that means yet, since nothing can break. We don't have PvP yet, but we'll have to be ready when that chance presents itself.
I'm as ready as I could possibly be, knowing almost nothing.
Yeah. I think we're all going to be in the same boat. I think that's, if I had to guess, I'd say that our first Great Battle experience is going to be very similar to Halloween or Thanksgiving. We're going to have multiple entities to be fighting that are, moving at different speeds, fighting back at different speeds, having different amounts of health. But it seems like it's going to be more of a coordination. Maybe you'll take damage. I can't imagine what they'd damage around the Gotchiverse. There's just so much. One, there's so much empty space. And two, none of the parcel pieces that we have are, like, to my knowledge, able to take damage. They're not designed to be like damaged and rebuilt or repaired or whatever. So it might just be we take damage, liquidators take damage, coordinate to get rid of them type of thing.
Right.
But we'll have to see.
Interesting.
So that was our fake news. We got some real news.
Uh-oh.
We got some Aavegotchi DAO updates. As far as closed proposals, we didn't have anything that was open last week and has closed since. So right now we just have 3 open active proposals. Gotchi Lodge 2023, the Forge raffle strategy for releasing the legendary schematics, and then the Forge version 1.1 to talk about geodes, the surprise item that we would get from smelting at the Forge.
It's going to be a Greta battle.
I'm not opening that box. So Gotchi Lodge 23 for Gotchi Lodge. That's the first one up here. I think it closes the soonest. Let me get my screen share. Boom. Right, we're on Gotchi Lodge. Very good. All right, so Gotchi Lodge here, and Zombie, please interrupt me because you're going to have more details on this than I will. So if you want to run with it, run with it. But essentially, Snapshot is saying ETH Denver is kicking off on February 24th, running through March 5th. And this proposal is asking for 12K Ghost in funding to send a media crew to cover the event, do outreach for to onboard new members, and to find developer talent for the DAO and for Pixelcraft. So all the details are either in the prop or in the linked document within that prop. But the vote itself is to choose to fund or do not fund the Gotchi Lodge 2023. Zombie, do you want to fill in any gaps there? I'm sure I left a bunch open.
I mean, really, just that there's the ETH Denver forum discussion going on, and there were a lot of things I mean, I feel like most of the things we've addressed multiple times. The main thing just being that we need to come up with a clear content strategy. And a part of that reason we don't have a clear content strategy is because ETH Denver is still busy making their events. So not knowing exactly where you're going to be and what you're going to end up doing day to day, it's pretty hard to say when the event itself isn't set in stone.
Right.
But that's why, I mean, we all do this. We're all content creators. So working fast and on the fly with accountability is going to be rather easy. We're just going to figure out what we're doing. And I mean, Lost Locals lining things up. So as Lost Locals says, like, oh, we'll be here with the Cryptoon Goons. We'll be here with Polygon or whoever. Like, we're going to start saying, all right, well, this is what we're going to do. And then the other part of it is the reality that we learned in Miami also is that planning only gets you so far, because you're going to show up to that event that day and, whatever they told you the deal was going to be is going to change. Like, it's literally going to change at the last minute. Like, I remember at Grails in Miami, I ended up moving the art like 3 or 4 times because they kept saying like, oh, it's cool to set up right here. And then they were like, oh, can you actually set up over there? And then like by the third time I was like,
Sure.
Look, can we please just like get everybody together and iron this out for the last time and let's figure it. And then it was basically like, oh, just slide, you're good here, just slide down a little bit and you're fine. But like, so the reality is you have to be able to adjust. And I think the accountability part is mainly just like having things, having product, and then also well documenting kind of what we did and what happens day to day, But I think
like you said, the more information we get on what exactly is happening on each day, the better you're going to be able to plan. Here's where we need to go to do X.
It's just, if ETH Denver hasn't decided what's happening, then how can we write a proposal to say like we're going to be here
Specifically,
at this point when ETH
right.
Denver doesn't even know who's going to be where at what points?
Right.
So,
all right. So there's a lot of good discussion there.
Yeah, Michaelium, how's it going?
Yeah. So for me, it's very much still that we're like, as a DAO, the DAO acts like they're interested in like the specifics of the details right now. But I think the fundamental question is still whether or not the DAO understands the value add of the DAO funds being mobilized for events like this. This isn't the second or the fifth time that we've done this. This is indeed the very first time that the DAO's ever been propositioned with the concept of mobilizing DAO funds specifically for community sourced marketing. And so it's quite significant.
It is significant, but it's not unusual or uncommon. I mean, this is a pretty typical type of thing. Bankless DAO, for example, funds a lot of these types of events. People to go there, people to have coverage, even like the GM bus. Bankless DAO has helped fund that, and that's not even a directly Bankless project. They're just helping fund this sort of affiliated project for the publicity. So there's definitely precedent for it.
Well, and I think Dr. Wagme kind of said it best, and he probably he's on the receiving end of this boot more than anybody, most likely, because he has mentioned that this community does have this tendency to expect, professional level quality and effort and labor for the absolute lowest price possible, if not free, out of the kindness of your heart. And I cracked up last night. I was watching something totally unrelated, talking about the Flippies and the Flippy 2s and the robots that are being built right now to replace all the fast food workers. But they showed the treasury allocation of Miso Robotics. And something that jumped out at me is that they have like $2.5 million allocated to R&D. They had $6 million related to admin and overhead, as well as $6 million related to sales and marketing. And it was significant to me to recognize that this robotics company that is building the future of AI robotics that are in real life factories spends just as much of their war chest on marketing as they do on actually operating the company itself.
And what, almost 3 times as much as they do on R&D.
Exactly correct. And so, and we feel these vibes. We live these vibes. Zombie, you've mentioned it lots, is everyone becomes an event planner suddenly when you discuss an event. but it is not an easy thing to build a brand. And every participant and protocol in Web3 right now is fighting that uphill battle.
Yeah. I mean,
It's good that we're addressing it.
Well, and that's the thing is like the question here is like, yes, spend money from the DAO to start supporting event presence or no. And there's an obvious benefit to the yes, because next time it could be someone else's proposal. This is not a monopoly, and it's no fun when you're the only game in town, right? Because it's very easy to point at you. But there's a future where other events in Asia, events in South America, events in Australia, events in Europe that we won't be well positioned to respond to, and we will want to have a delegation represent there locally. And so this is really about opening up opportunities for the whole entire community.
Right. Well, the other part, and I think the main takeaway from this also is that the accountability and the like coming away with something that is clear KPIs and metrics to be able to say like, hey, this is how you do an event well, or this is what didn't go so well, so we can improve for next time. So I think that awareness around what we're doing and not just saying, oh, like the DAO should spend money on marketing without knowing what it's getting. I just think there's been a lot of like micro analyzation of what's going on in all of these things, as opposed to looking at like, well, what should we be doing when we're there? Like, I don't think there's enough of suggestions about like what would be the value add of us being there. Like it's kind of one of these funny things where like you can't save your way to wealth. So you can't sit there and go through the travel expenses and say, oh, if we cut these travel expenses, we'll somehow get a better marketing buy out of this. It's like, no, you'll get a better marketing buy by spending the money on the people that will most effectively accomplish the goal. Now, what's the goal?
Yeah, that's what has to be defined.
Right. So I think we're spending too much time looking backwards at like, what is the spend, and not looking at, well, like, what will we get for the spend? Once you know what you're going to get and that has to be defined kind of by everybody, because it's kind of hard to say like, we are saying this is what we're going to give you. But as Mycelium said, like people don't really value just our skill and our professionalism. They want something else to come out of it. And
well, and like Goops just mentioned here in the private chat, let's not underestimate our raw enthusiasm too. There's a real value in the fact that we will be, I think, one of the very few DAO sponsored delegations there that get to say our DAO made this happen. And most DAOs think they're DAOs, but we have the opportunity to really put work in motion here.
I saw people complaining about it as paid shilling, and the bottom line
is that's just marketing, right?
Marketing is paid shilling.
There are cost degrees of
pay
that
the people who are already basically doing it for free. So like if you just give those people money, then it's like more natural than like, hey, you're going to go out and pay someone else to have to learn all this stuff to like.
Well, and my secret hope here, because we're close to Pixelcraft and I like all that team there, but we had presence at NFT Miami, and they sourced a little bit of community talent with yourself and with No Futuristic. Same thing with NFT NYC, but those were never even thought of to be propositioned to the DAO for mobilization. Pixelcraft, immediately took it upon themselves to just shoulder that budget and do the business. And so this is something very different where we can maybe do better than we've done in the past, and based on what you and No Future have shared, it sounds like each event that the Gotchi gang has presence at is an improvement upon the last event execution. And so I'm looking forward to our being given the opportunity to deliver. If we fail, we fail, and the records will show, and the transactions are settled, and it'll be well known for a very long time. But
but that's what I'm saying is
training or empowering.
The hard part here is by what metric do we fail or not fail? So if the community doesn't help to set like ideas behind what they think valuable marketing buys are, then we're fighting into the wind, because like they can basically come back and say, well, that wasn't worth anything. And it's like, well, what did you want from it? If you don't tell us what you're hoping to gain, then we can't give it. Like, we can give you what we told you we're offering, and if that wasn't good enough for you before you voted, it's not going to be good enough for you after we spend the money either.
I hear that concern from the other perspective as well. It's really just the defining of the KPIs that I think is going to make it
Exactly
better for the crew going to know, okay, how can I make sure that I'm succeeding? What measure do I have again to reference so I know that I'm either doing it right or doing it wrong?
I also think
Those
that
KPIs
are important, but also hard, because
they are.
Are we just going to go in and say, oh, like more fake Gotchi and Aavegotchi followers on Twitter? Like, yes, we clearly hit that number. Does that
it's
number,
a metric to consider.
It's a metric, but does that number equate to any kind of a turnaround? I mean, it's a metric we can hit, but it doesn't mean that it was necessarily effective. And if that's the metric by which we're going to be measured, then people are going to turn around and say, all right, well, those Twitter followers cost us X amount. Because if that's all you're dividing by is X amount of Twitter followers to dollars. And so I think that that's the problem with a lot of this type of stuff is it's hard to tell what organic reach does, like when you're actually connecting with people. A hard KPI that would be really awesome is like if Pixelcraft got one dev out of this. If like, you know what yeah, exactly. And that's almost something that would be like, well, you know, I've already seen people comparing though. Is this worth the hire? So like,
well, you know, for me, this is where I get chippy with it here, because it's like, how many devs are we going to originate out of this 80K Alchemica spend? How many like new contributors to our Aavegotchi ecosystem are going to arise from the 80,000 ghosts that we just spent? And if we come back with if we come back from Eat Denver with the next generation Jared or the next generation E-Tree, because they're out there and they're going to be at events like this. And if we can come back with them individuals on a 12K price tag, then once again, we have undersold ourselves.
So a good KPI in this case then would be the number of potential, like, I guess, applicants that y'all can source to give to PC as options. By using the how many devs did we get for PC count, you're giving the control over your success variable to Pixelcraft. You can hand them 20 people, and if they don't select anybody, and your measure of success was did you get them a dev or not, you've just failed because
that's
they didn't
true.
want any of those 20 people. So
well, it could also just count the the applicants count for something as well. Like,
well, and this was also a point
of
discussion.
You use the applicant count.
Well, and this was a discussion even in the DAO forum, which I thought was intriguing, because based on our discussions with PC, it became pretty obvious that the dev talent, the dev brain drain, as Hefe calls it, is our primary concern. And then social engagement drive is a secondary concern, both of which are valuable. But it sounds like within the DAO Discord, there was already like some contention over whether or not devs are even a target audience for us. And so I was kind of surprised to see that there might be a disconnect between what Pixelcraft thinks we need and what we think we need.
Right.
That's a great observation. And you're not going to be able to set clear goals and clear expectations without aligning all of those expectations.
And one other thing on that too, because this follows on that point, because I'm interpreting this as wanting to see more dev talent within our community. This is not something where I think that we're specifically looking for higher applications for Pixelcraft on their dev side. I don't think that that's what they're pushing us towards, is pushing applicants into their hiring pipeline. I think they want to see us onboard more organic resident dev talent within the community.
Right. Little column A, little column B, right?
So yeah, that one's ongoing. I've been lawyering all day on that one, man. It's fun.
I saw it.
That's really the big question. That's the big question that, like, all of these things, whether you pivot from, is the content worth it? Are devs worth it? Is the spend worth it? Like, what is worth it? That's really the question here. Is like, do you people don't want to spend money on marketing. The other big question that comes out of this is, do people even want new people to come into this ecosystem, or are they fine keeping this closed? Like, are they actually afraid of new blood?
I don't know why you would be.
I mean, but that's a very relevant consideration. Those in power tend to like the balance of things.
Right. Like if you bring in more and more people, do more and more people sway to, the other side of the tap of like turn things on, be more egalitarian. This is supposed to be fun. And you know what I mean? Like is maybe that's something that people who've been here for a long time don't want new people to come in. Because that's kind of what it seems like a lot of the time is anytime you're ever like, oh, this could bring new people in, it's like, well, I don't know, it's like very reluctant. But like everything that's like, oh, let's pay people who already are here. You know what? Here's a good one. Let me segue a bit. So like this rarity farming change we're talking about, where we do it basically, if you don't sign up for rarity farming, then you're not in rarity farming. I agree with that part of it because I'm like, all right, yeah, if you're not paying attention and you're not here enough to even click a button that says I want to be considered, then maybe you shouldn't be. However, it's not going to like slide down the ladder and pull people into rarity farming who've been excluded. It's literally just going to say, well, anybody who wouldn't have been here anyway, we're just going to put all that money back in the pot for us for later. Like I thought when I first heard it, I was like, oh, this could lead to like some actual shuffling of the board. If people don't sign up for rarity farming, things might change. But they're literally like, no, we don't want to take them off of it. Just don't give them any money and we'll put it back in the bank for later.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't condense the board. They're not removed from the board. They're just ineligible for payouts, but are still in the race. They can't win the trophy, but they can still be on the track.
And exactly. So it means that all of the people who are farther down the leaderboard farther down the tail aren't getting any higher because of the people who don't sign up for the thing. It's
Absolutely.
basically, yeah, like that to me is like, I don't know. That's just greed wrapped on greed, if you ask me. Like that is basically like saying, hey, you know what? The people around me who aren't paying attention, don't pay them. But like, don't give it to other people. Like just save it for later because I'm going to need that further down the road for the next rarity farming because I'm paying attention.
So
I guess what's the incentive of rarity farming then?
Yeah.
If the incentive is to get people active, then not paying out is an aligned incentive. If you can't push a button to participate in rarity farming.
I mean, if you got a 650 BRS Gotchi, I don't think you should have to push any button to compete in rarity farming. That's why we have the 3 different tracks within the rarity farming, and that's why someone like me can still compete in something like kinship and will never have an opportunity to compete in XP or BRS.
Same.
Just one last point I'll put on this, and then maybe I'll let y'all move on it. Just obviously I've been stewing on this stuff all day. As you're mentioning about like whether or not there's a potential concern about onboarding, like almost like an apprehension to onboarding new community. And I want to give major credit to the Aavegotchi Gotchi Gang content creators like No Futuristic and like Hefe and like Slaps, because when my brother and I broke into this, late 21, there was no apprehension from those guys. No one ever fought us. No one ever said, who are you? You don't deserve part of the stage. There was always a friendliest community in crypto is what we experienced. They brought us up to the stage with them and happily onboarded us. And so just major shout out to the content creators in the Gotchi Gang, like with Foreign and Goops and all of that. That synergy works really well in our community. There's a financial component to our community that does not seem to be as open-minded or as welcoming.
Interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
That's all my seasoning for tonight.
I mean, that's the interesting part spicy. About that is you would think that even the financial part of it would want more dollars coming in via new people. But if
they're already figuring out how to chop up the current DAO treasury, they're already figuring out what pieces they're going to cut that curve into. They're already figuring out the autopsy. They're not looking at marketing and community growth. They're not looking at the next layer.
It's all looking inward and it's all paying inward, and it's not paying out and looking to the outside to see how does this ecosystem and economy grow. It's all about like how do we slice up the same pie that we've got.
Put a proposal up for a 10 ghost drop 10 ghost airdrop on a community that has nothing to do with us yet that we want to target. You will get torn to pieces and beat out of town.
Probably, yeah. Thanks. Pass. Thanks.
What else you got, man?
I'm not touching that one. I did have. I mean, we've been talking about rarity farming here, and I had a question, comment, kind of discussion topic noted for one of the other proposals. So, if you don't mind, if that was kind of a good transition phase.
Good transition. We've done our ranting. You've heard.
Okay, all right.
We've shaken our fist in adulation.
Yeah, there's some clouds out in the sky. I'll go argue with them.
All right, so the next one up was the Forge raffle strategy, but I want to skip that and go to the geodes because this is where that comment tied in. Y'all been following the geodes conversation?
Little bit. It's been spicy.
All right, let me see if I can get this back up here. Okay, so the Forge geodes, share that tab. Did it work? It did not work. It did work. Okay. The geodes are the surprise item that was announced in the blog post, where you smelt an item down, you get alloy, you get the schematic, you get the core, and then surprise, geodes. So what the geodes are essentially loot boxes. This proposal, this version 1.1 proposal, let me get the details up, outlines the geode mechanic, and it outlines the Forge team's current vision for what the geodes will be and how they'll operate. So essentially, the idea is to gamify the distribution of assets, specifically schematics, for the Forge launch set. The strategy here is in reference to the legendary schematics and how those will be distributed. So the geodes directly incentivize smelting, as it's another lottery chance for you to win some bonus for smashing up wearables. Puts more deflationary pressure on alloy, puts more deflationary pressure on wearables. It creates a novel mechanic for distribution of current and future content. By having it in kind of open-ended loot box, a new object, a new item that gets invented later could also be included in these loot boxes. So it's flexible in that way, and I think that's kind of cool. It adds values to individuals who are directly engaging in the protocol. I guess if you win, it adds value. And it's kind of an offset for people who are uncomfortable with that 10% alloy tax, where if you break a wearable down that costs 100 alloy to create, you only get 90 alloy back. So it's that deflationary mechanism. The Forge team's current vision for the geodes is 6 different rarity tiers. So you'd have common, uncommon, rare, legendary, mythical, godlike. Yep. And they would have different things in them. It doesn't go into super detail about what else could be contained, but at launch, it'll all be focused around the legendary wearables. So even a common, the way this read is even a common geode would have a chance at a legendary wearable. And there are numbers actually in here. Here we go. As an example, a common geode would give a 0.792% chance of winning a legendary schematic, but a mythical geode gives an 86.3022% chance of winning the legendary schematic.
Okay.
If all 400 legendary schematics that are to be distributed for this event, or let's see, if all 400 legendary schematics are allotted to geodes, then it would require 2.25% of all wearables to be burned in order for that to happen. So it's good pressure. I mean, it's definitely deflationary pressure. But that is the proposal there. This is explaining what the geodes are and asking for 8,000 ghost. Where'd it go? Am I on the wrong page? Here it is. And it also requests 8,000 ghost for funding smart contract development, art, the UI, all the other stuff. So the vote on this one is yes, fund and implement geodes, or no, don't fund and implement geodes. Pretty straightforward. I am realizing now that I picked the wrong proposal. Jump at 2 seconds. It's all right. We'll just go into the third one. So that is the Forge Geodes proposal. Do we want them? Do we want to fund them? Or no on both?
That wasn't the spicy part, though, right?
That wasn't the spicy part. I grabbed the wrong tab. I jumbled up my proposals here. So let me switch tabs. This tab instead, we should have Forge Raffle Strategy. Here it is. This is the spicy one. So originally, there was a chart released that
Brought
said
to you by Seasoning.
Right. It's like a little out of there. I like it. Is Zimtimo our sponsor now?
Pretty much.
We get a smile and a nod. There we go. There's our funding package. So this is a little spicier. So originally there was a chart released that showed all the different types, all the different rarity levels of schematics being raffled off. This changed somewhere. I wasn't following super closely, but it's changing now to two things right here. So the first one is Geodes versus Raffle for releasing the legendary schematics. And then the other thing was the revenue split for cores and schematics individually. So first off, there are a couple options regarding the release of those legendary mechanics. The first one is release all of the legendary schematics via Geodes only, nothing in the raffle. This would mean 60% of all of the schematics except for legendary would be GBM'd. 40% of the remaining schematics would be raffled, and then all of the legendary schematics would go through the Geodes. No raffle. The second option is that legendary schematics would be split between both Geodes and raffle. So again, 60% of all of the non-legendary schematics would be GBM'd. 40% would be raffled on all levels, and then 60% of the legendary schematics would be released via Geode. So it's either all Geode or 60% Geode, 40% raffle for legendary schematics. That's option one and option two. The other piece of this is the revenue splits. So there's a bit in here. So Pixelcraft must receive at least 18% of revenue to maintain tax compliance with the sales of schematics and cores. The proposed split, which it says has also been discussed with and agreed upon by Pixelcraft, is as follows. For the cores, 80% to the DAO Rarity Farming Wallet and 20% to Pixelcraft. And for the schematics, it would be 55% to the DAO Rarity Farming Wallet and 45% to Pixelcraft. Here's where it gets spicy.
I mean, that's a little spicy to me right there, just because, like, the Rarity Farming Wallet, so basically only, like, a handful of people benefit from the Forge being used at all.
My question is why the Rarity Farming Wallet specifically and not the DAO Treasury as a whole? What was the reasoning behind this being earmarked?
Go back to all previous arguments before.
So I'm curious about this and wonder why this wasn't the Treasury.
Because they read a proposal to get that money again, but if you just do it straight to where it's coming right to you, it's a funnel.
So that's the proposed splits. And you can choose option one to release all the legendary schematics via Geodes and accept the revenue split. Or you can do 60% of the legendary schematics through Geodes and 40% through raffle and accept the revenue split. Or you can just vote no on the whole package. So that's the third one that's up. Those all end in a couple of days. They will all be closed by the time we get to next week's episode. So be sure to get over there, review those, read up, and vote your votes.
Cool. Yeah, we're at the last few minutes here. So
That came up fast.
yeah, it was a short episode, it felt like. But lots going on, especially
A lot of good discussion.
Guest come up. Kevin joined us to talk about marketing and, think we have a hard road ahead of us when it comes to growing the ecosystem, and I would definitely say the bear market has made it a bit ugly. It's not been as, there's been some ugly side to the politics coming out lately. And
I think we're asking hard questions and addressing real problems. It's just messy in doing so.
And it's not just here. I mean, we've had issues with Bankless DAO,
I think there's a lot of DAOs addressing the same things. All the hype has left, and now you're at the bottom with builders going, how are we going to do this? And we're all figuring out how we're going to do this. To be expected, I suppose.
Without getting too sentimental, I'm super proud of you guys, and I definitely still believe in us. Like, as a community, we're still kicking ass here in Aavegotchi, and it is still very different vibes inside of us. Besides, there's plenty of empty Discords. There's plenty of quiet spaces right now. And so just well done. Like, y'all's consistency and keeping the programming, you're growing, you're expanding, you're only continuously improving. And so those are the folks that are definitely going to make it.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's the goal. A little bit better every time, a little bit, baby steps. But
cool.
We've got only a couple minutes left, but we've got a little bit of hype news to share on the way out.
Let's do it.
Why don't you take this one? Why don't you take the hype news?
All right. So first of all, we're going to be next week is going to be lots of raffling going on. Next week's episodes, we're probably going to just start off with raffles and get that out. Or maybe we'll do it like midway. I don't know. We'll have to figure out how we're doing this. But basically, if you have a Season 2 Genesis token, which is on our from A to Z.lens account, then you will be entered into a raffle to get a From A to Z t-shirt. We are also going to be concluding the Lone Raffle and Sus raffles, or potential burn. We'll see how that goes. But right now I've got a tweet live that says, like, retweet, tag 2 friends, 1 Gotchi gang, 1 Web3 musician. But I will raffle off 2 Lone Raffle and Sus if I hit 69 retweets. If I don't hit 69 retweets, we're burning 1. So that's the game. Then I also have a lens post on Zemtimo.lens. Anybody who does miracle and comment, you got to do all 4, will be entered into a raffle for a Lone Raffle and Sus. So we'll be giving away a lot of stuff next week on the show for our good friends. We're also going to be doing, obviously we got Touch Grass coming up right after this. We got Zombie Time Music Hour coming up right after that. So Touch Grass will be in Twitter Spaces. And then tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be doing a stream on the 402, and that is going to be a special episode of Zombie Time. We're probably going to be like hanging out, chilling, vibing, and whatever, but I'm going to do live performance for the first time in a stream. And it's going to only be on the 402. Like, I'm going to turn off all other streams. And if you come to the 402 tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, then you're going to get to see me, performing and whatever, hanging out. I don't even know who all is going to come. So I'm hoping that maybe Face will come out and hang with us and we'll talk music stuff. Maybe some other music people will come out. I'm going to push hard on that.
New platform, new approach, new structure, all experimental. Should be fun.
Hell yeah. Anything else? And then, of course, we've got our normal Friday night programming.
There you go. Roll it up into a ball. Rest of Tuesday, rest of Friday. See ya. Pull the plug.
All right, y'all. We will see you at Touch Grass and Zombie Time. Thanks for hanging with us.
Give us a few minutes to switch over.
Totally.